This is the story for how the US Navy stood firm against warnings from Chinese warship in the South China Sea. Through steady patrols, breeding strong base, and working with their allies, America showed that it would keep these waters open for all. The South China Sea looks calm on sunny days. Its waters shine like a grass, and the fishermen move quietly between small islands. But behind this peaceful picture, something big is happening. A silent storm has been breeding. This sea is not just water. It's one of the busiest highways on the earth. Every day, ships carry food, oil, crops, and technology through these waters. Almost 3 trillion worth of trade moves across this region every year. Whoever controls these waters has the great power over the world's economy. But here's the problem. Many countries want a control. China say most of South China Sea belongs to them, using something they called 9-dash line. The Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan all disagrees. International law disagrees too. But China keeps breeding artificial islands and putting military bases on them. This makes other countries so nervous. The United States is not willing to let this happen. America say the sea should be free for all ships to pass. To prove that, the US Navy often sends its biggest and strongest ships into the region. They are called Freedom of Navigation Operation. So now, the stage is set for a dangerous game. This is so calm, but the underwaves submarine grinds silently. In the sky, drones watch every move, and far away in the Washington and Beijing, readers make plan. Everyone hopes no shots will be fired, but the hope is not enough. One long move could turn this silent storm into a real war. In early summer, a giant came to the South China Sea. Its name was USS Carl Vinson, one of the most powerful aircraft carriers in the world. Imagine a foreign city longer than a free football field, carrying more than 60 fighter jets. That is the Carl Vinson. And it didn't come alone. It brought friends, a full carrier strike group. What's a strike group? It's a team of ships that protect the carrier. They were guided big-size cruisers and submarines hidden under the wall. These ships carries weapons like Tomahawk missile that can hit the target hundreds of miles away. They have radars that can see far and interceptors that can shoot down incoming missiles. In short, this was not just a ship. It is a floating fortress. The American jets on board had names like FA-18, Super Hornet, and EA-18, Growler. Some were fast and stronger for dogfights. Others could jam enemy radars so no one could see them coming. Helicopters like MH-60R Seahawk hunted the submarines below the waves. Everything was ready for the battle, but the mission was clear. Don't start a fight, show strength. The US Navy said this is all about freedom of navigation. They wanted to remind everyone that these waters belongs to no single country. But China was watching closely. On their screens, American ships moved like big dots across the map. Chinese commanders knew this was a message. We are here, we will not leave. The calm sea was no longer just a blue water. It had become a chessboard, and the Carl Vinson was the queen. A piece that could change everything. The Carl Vinson's arrival did not go unnoticed. Far away in China, alarms were ringing, not the loud kind, but the quiet alerts on a big screen inside the command rooms. Every movement of American ships was tracked, every turn, every stop, every radar signal was recorded, and so China made its move. First came the drones. Sleeky, high-flying machines began crossing the Taiwan Straits. They looked like birds of metal, but they were eyes in the sky. Every day, more drones came, some for spying, some of electronic tricks, like a jamming signal. They circled near Taiwan and shadowed American ships, taking pictures and listening to the radios. Some flew so high you couldn't see them. Others came close, testing how fast American pilots would react. Next came the warship. Chinese destroyers and frigates started following the US strike group. They didn't attack, but they stayed close, sometimes just a few miles away. Over the radio, voice traded warnings. US warship, they said, you are entering Chinese water, leave immediately. This is international war. We are conducting lawful operations.
Craft, you are now considered a threat to this vessel.
The area was so intense, like two kids daring each other not to blink first. But this was not just a schoolyard game. These ships carried real missiles, these pilots flew real jets, and every second, the risk of an accident grew. Why was China doing this? Because they wanted to send their own message. This is our backyard. You can't scare us. The world began to watch more closely. News headlines spoke of rising tension, but what came next would shock everyone. On July 23rd, the tension jumped to a new level. The Philippine Coast Guard was on a patrol near Kabla Island, a quiet place in the West Philippine Sea. Everything seemed normal until their radar showed a strange signal. A ship was moving inside the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, where only they had the right to operate. The Coast Guard series cruiser. What they saw was not a fishing boat. It was a Chinese electronic surveillance ship, a spy ship, packed with high-tech gears, big radar dishes, and long antennas, and the sensor covered its decks. It could listen to military radios, track planes, and even jump signals. And it wasn't alone. When the Philippines radioed the ships and said, "You are in our waters, leave now," there was a silence, no reply, just a hum of machine. Minutes later, another Chinese ship appeared, a Coast Guard vessel, and then a warship. The warship even launched a helicopter, circling on the sky like a hawk. This was not just a visit, it was a show of force. The message was clear: China will not back down. On the same day, US F-35 fighter jets landed in the Philippines for joint exercise. Is this a coincidence? No way, it can't be. The US wanted China to know they were ready for the war. Something bigger was happening. Far away in Palawan, a quiet island that was about to change the game. While all eyes were on the big ships in the South China Sea, something very quiet, and it was even the most important one, was happening on the west coast of Palawan in the Philippines. Trucks started rolling in. The locals thought it was just another project to move goods, but soon whispers spread. This was not just a warehouse or a port. This was something bigger. The truth came out slowly. Reporters from the Manila Times first wrote about it. Then the satellite pictures from Maxar Technologies confirmed that the US was building a new military base under the agreement called ERICA, Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement. The Americans called it XWZ. At first, the US said the base was for stability and disaster help, but the photos told another story. There were stronger hangars to protect planes, fence-blocking access, and even a system to stop drones. The locals noticed truck carrying fuel and strange-looking containers. Some say they saw a missile launcher being moved at night. Fishermen in the town of Tai began noticing changes too. China saw it too. Just days after the news of Echo 7 spread, two Chinese warships moved closer to the Spratly Islands. A Chinese newspaper warned, this action will not go unanswered. The world didn't notice much at first, but those who lived near the base knew something big was coming. Palawan was no longer just a paradise, it had become a chessboard square in the dangerous game. Mid-April, the quiet game of breeding and spying had turned to something far more serious. China began to watch the Echo 7 very closely. New satellites were launched onto orbit. Their cameras zoomed in on the base, capturing every truck, every new breeding, every strip of concrete inside the China. In rooms filled with a growing screen, analysts studied every image. They wanted to know what exactly is the US planning in Palawan. But the watching didn't stop in space. Reporters said China hackers were testing the Philippine communication system. They weren't trying to crash them, just see how much they could control without being caught. This was a shadow war, fought with computers instead of bullets. Strange things began to happen near Palawan. Local radio stations had weird signal problems. Coast Guard ships reported being flooded by unknown underwater vehicles, probably drone submarines. It was like a ghost were moving under the sea. People started asking questions. Who really controls the Echo 7? Is it the Philippines or it is just the United States? The Pentagon officials told the reporters, our presence is illegal and it brings stability, but the experts said the breeding up was happening very fast. Too fast for something called peaceful. Some wanted the American, therefore protection. China's government grew louder in its warnings. On June 22nd, a day China called Maritime Sovereignty Day, the Chinese Ministry of Defense made a rare and serious public statement on state television. They called the US base being built on west coast of Palawan, Facility Echo 7, illegal and provocative. If the US continued the construction and military activities, China would take counter-action. This is not more than a warning, it was a clear threat broadcasted to millions across China and the world. Despite this, the United States did not slow down. Reporters from Defense One and Reuters revealed that the construction of Echo 7 accelerated with expanded runways, new radar installations, and hardened shelters for missiles. Satellite image showed long fuel storage tank being built underground, a sign that the US planned to maintain a long-term presence. The military exercise increased. The US and Philippine forces began joint drills near XWZ, practicing emergency response, air defense, and missile launches. Meanwhile, Chinese forces staged larger naval drills along the Spratly Islands, signaling their readiness to respond. By July and August, the tension evolved into a dangerous cat-and-mouse game. No shots were fired, but the planes, ships, and the drones danced dangerously close to one another. This rising tension sent ripples through international diplomacy. Southeast Asian nations held emergency tension in Jakarta to discuss the growing danger. These talks were tense and cautious, as many countries depend on both China and the US economically and politically. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken made a quick visit of Vietnam, Malaysia, and Philippines, urging a calm and cooperation but firmly affirming American military commitment to its allies. As Reuters reported, Blinken said, "We stand with our partners against coalition and for the freedom of navigation." Now, by the end of 2024, Facility XWZ was finished. The base was fully operational, a symbol of American power planted firmly in the South China Sea's disputed waters. The South China Sea remains calm on the surface, but the echoes of this conflict will resonate for years to come. One long move, one misstep, and the world could face a conflict for larger than many expect. So thank you so much for tuning in on XWZ. My name is Shimmerik, a friend of documentaries. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and drop your comment down below. It motivates us to make for you a lot of documentaries. So let us meet in the next documentary right here on XWZ. Ciao ciao.